Shalom, 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 brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel. Peace and greetings, shalom to you all. It's an honor, it's a privilege to come to you tonight. You know, as always, it's a Savory Sunday where we do what? Break down the Most High's commandments, giving you a clear-cut understanding as to what his commandments consist of, what we should or what we should not be doing, you know, in order to receive that crown, to receive the kingdom, to receive eternal life. That blessing that's promised to those who endure to the end of the nation of Israel and to the nation of Israel only, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. But, you know, before we get started, as always, we got to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Israel through the strength, guidance, sacrifice, and example of his son, Christ, our Messiah, and our Messiah only. You know, and we're going to jump right into it. Tonight's class, we're going to be going into being covetous. The title of tonight's class is called Stop Being Covetous. And before we get started, let's go to Deuteronomy 6 and 7. Because actually what we're doing is something that you can be teaching your children on a daily basis. And whether you believe it or not, it's something that we're supposed to be doing. Teaching our children about these commandments and holding them to it. And living and being the example of righteousness to our children. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 6, and it reads, "And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart." So we're talking about these words, meaning his commandments. Verse 7, "And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up." So parents, you're supposed to be teaching and keeping these commandments day in and day out. Whether you want to believe it or not, you're supposed to be keeping the commandments and teaching them each and every day, every chance that you get. When your children walking around in the house, when they wake up in the morning, it's another opportunity to teach them to keep the commandment. When you're walking around at the park, the store, driving in the car, that's another opportunity for you to be teaching the kids the commandment. When before they go to bed, it's another opportunity for you to do what? Teach them to keep the commandments. Teach them what the commandments are and relate to them the things that they see and go through on a daily basis, so they understand the importance of keeping the commandments. Don't slack off. Don't just let the world pass you by, or don't do what most of us do, assume that the kid understands. Just because they can talk and laugh and joke with you don't mean that they understand what's going on in this world. So it's up to the parents, who are the first teachers, to teach the children the commandments of the Most High God. And to, like I said before, on every Sunday, we aim, Lord willing, to teach our brothers and sisters to keep the commandments, to break down the commandments, so it's easy for you to explain to your children whether you understand them clearly or not. Because keeping the commandments is what helps build and restore and keeps our nation of people in order. Without the commandments, you see what you see on a daily basis, what plagues our communities, by not keeping the commandments. So it's up to us as parents to do what's required of us. And we at A.O.I are striving to uplift and restore our nation of people by putting our brick in, by breaking down the commandments each and every Sunday. So we're going to get into it. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 17. The book of Exodus, chapter 20, and verse 17. And it reads, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's." You see that? It breaks it down and tells you what not to covet. But a lot of people will hear that and say, well, what does covet mean? What does it mean to covet? Well, let's bring it out. Let's get the definition of it. Excuse me, bear with me. Let's go to Merriam-Webster's dictionary. And it says covet. I got all these ads on here. Trying to sell something. But the definition of covet: to wish For earnestly to desire what belongs to another, inordinately or copiously. Let's get some synonyms. To ache, to crave, to desiderate, to desire, to die for. You see that? To die for, to hanker for, or after, to hunger for, itch for, to Jones for. That's a new one. To long for, to lust for, or after, to pant after, to pine for. I never heard that one before. To salivate, meaning you basically drooling out the mouth for it. Sigh for, thirst for, want, wish, yearn for, yin for. Covet. Those are different words for the word covet. Letting you know when you want something that does not belong to you, you basically yearning, salivating, ready to die for, ready to kill for something that don't belong to you, something that belongs to somebody else, something that you see. It might not even be something that belongs, but just something that you see happening in a person's life that you want for yourself. The Lord said, don't do that. Let me read that commandment again. Exodus chapter 20, verse 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. A lot of our brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel, we had that spirit on us on a constant basis and don't even know it. The Lord commands us not to have that spirit. Covet not thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. That's another thing that's promoted wickedly in this kingdom. To covet or want to sleep or be with somebody else's spouse, wife, or husband. Nor his manservant, nor his maidservant. We see it on TV all the time. People saying in the back of their head, I want me a maid. I want me some butlers one day. Lord said, don't look at it like that. Nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is in thy neighbor's house, or that is thy neighbor's. You're not supposed to want what your neighbor has. Nor other nations. Damn sure nothing that they have. But a lot of our people try to live that so-called American dream, trying to live the lifestyles, trying to be like the other nations. Foolishness, not knowing that you're going off by doing that. You know? Let me go back up to the definition right quick. It said to desire what belongs to another. You want to fast, or not fast, but be fast to think about different ways of trying to get a woman like that person got, or trying to come up with different scenarios in your mind to how to come up with a different way to get that woman by herself or to get that man by herself. That's a covetous spirit. Or you see somebody making more money, you getting upset, you out your character, you ready to fight, you ready to quit, you ready to destroy somebody else just to get what somebody else got. Now, one of the examples that I teach my kids about being covetous is when you thinking on that level, you need to think on a bigger scale. Because just say, for instance, you see somebody driving down the street in a nice car, a nice new car, brand new. It might be 2020, a 2023 model truck or car. And you looking, man, I need that. I want that. But you never consider what that person actually went through to actually obtain it. You know, that person might have lost a loved one. You know, they might have lost a leg trying to be in Esau army. Got their damn leg blown off. Got their arm blown off to be able to have a damn vehicle. Yet and still you wishing, you salivating, wanting that damn vehicle. And at the end of the day, it's just material anyway. It means nothing. It's just a car that's going to get you from, or a truck that's going to get you from point A to point B. But a lot of our people try to live a lifestyle that don't even mean anything, or want and yearn after things that mean nothing. Vainglory, you know? Now, you need to ask yourself, this is what I be teaching my kids. Would you be willing to lose your legs just to have a new car? Would you be willing to lose a family member just to get that inheritance to be able to have a damn flashy car? Now, when you teach them that way, it gives them a new way of thinking. Beforehand, they were going off what they were taught on the TV to just go after so-called flashy things, shiny things. You know, the oohs and ahs. But when you actually give them something real to think about, put them in a real perspective, then they actually wise up and realize, you know what? It's not as important as I thought it was. I don't really need it, you know. But we're going to continue on with the lesson. So we know that covetousness is seeking after something that does not belong to you, but belongs to another. You know, let's go to 1 John 5 and 19. 1 John 5 and 19. Let me get that right quick. 1 John 5 and 19. It says, and we know that we are of God, and the whole world lieth in wickedness. And we know that the Son of God is come and have given us understanding, that we may know him that is true. And we are in him that is true, even in his Son Christ. This is the true God and eternal life. So we know by the truth that Christ came and gave us, through the truth of the scriptures, that we know that this world is rooted in wickedness and it's going to teach everything contrary to the Bible. The Bible say don't covet. The world say, hey, it's a competitive nature. They're going to try to use smooth words or tricky wordplay to convince us to go against the Bible, or to have us going off and sin and not even knowing about it. They use wordplay to trip us up, to put a stumbling block in front of us without us even knowing. So the Lord is telling you that this world that you're living in right now, the earth that we living in, is rooted in wickedness. Why? Job 9 and 24 tell you that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Why? Because the Israelite men, women, and children didn't want to follow the commandments back in the day. So our rulership in this world was turned over to the heathen, to the wicked, that the world is ruled by today. But the Lord is saying this world is rooted in wickedness. And I'm going to show you a clear example in this video I'm going to show you. Well, not video, but article. Excuse me. Show you this article right quick. This is something also that you can have a sit down and teach the kids about. This is how social media creates covetousness in teens. Now, Esau wrote this, but we're going to read it anyway. It says teenagers use Instagram and Snapchat all the time. Some of them use Facebook too. I use Facebook from time to time, but nonetheless, we're going to keep reading. But I mostly hear about Insta and Snapchat. These are good tools for communication. They allow people to enjoy seeing what their friends are up to, which can be fun. More often than not, though, I am hearing about hurt feelings as a result of these apps. Teens that are constantly on these apps covet what their friends have. You see that? They covet the highlight reel of friends with boyfriends and girlfriends, which is wickedness. You ain't going to find that in the scriptures, but I'm going to read on. Friends with other friends. You know, you say, oh, why are these people hanging out with them? Why they ain't hanging out with me? Friends with good family relationships. You look at that and you say, why is my family not like that? Friends doing fun things, and friends being recognized for achievements. You know, you'll have people making video reels or highlight reels showing them receiving sports awards, academic awards from schools, and it make other individuals jealous. Why? Because they didn't get any. It says they also covet their friends' bodies. They looking and they become jealous of their friends' bodies. The friends on there modeling, the guys on there with their shirts off, flexing their little muscles, their little six pack. The sisters on there showing their curves. They see it on the Instagram. They see how many likes and comments they get, how many hearts. Friends become jealous of that. They start murmuring, backbiting. envying. It's all the same. It said clothes and other material possessions. It's an endless game of teenagers comparing himself or herself and thinking she or he doesn't measure up. And that's exactly what you see in this world today. It was going on way before social media, but social media has amplified everything now. It says covetousness is an ugly character trait. It is. It seems harmless at first. Why is that? Because America or this world presents it to you like you're not trying hard enough. If you don't want to be on the top, if you don't want to be better than the next person, you're not trying hard enough. That's how they present it to us. They said it seems harmless at first. Initially, your teenager simply wishes she or he had what they have. Oh, I want to be cool. I want to be popular. I want to get all the awards. I want to have money. I want to be tall. I want to be fast. I want to be strong. These are the thoughts that go through teenagers' heads. It said, then he or she feels discontented with what she has, meaning they don't appreciate what they have. They start to hate themselves. And especially in the nation of Israel, being that we have to suffer by going and living in these other communities, assimilating with the other nations, we tend to be discontented with the things that we have because we don't have the same amount of money, being able to take the same vacation trips, being able to have the same positions at work or at school. We tend to be covetous, asking ourselves and beating ourselves up as to why we don't have these things. Why not me? It said then he or she begins to envy. That's exactly what follows behind being covetous. From there flows a desire to take shortcuts. Shortcuts lead to lying, cheating, stealing, and being impatient. That's exactly what happens. Shortcuts. You rather than you see, for an example, you see a brother or sister that's been in the gym. They go to the gym all the time. They work out all the time. They sacrifice to go to the gym all the time. They got the body that they want. They steady working out, keeping it cut up, toned up. But you got an individual that sees the results of their work. They want to take shortcuts rather than put the work in. They want to take pills, or what they've been doing here lately in the world. They've been doing liposuction, trying to take a shortcut and end up killing themselves. Rather than changing your diet, disciplining yourself to make yourself exercise on a regular, you're going to try to take a shortcut and it's going to end up killing you. Why does it end up killing them? Because they took a shortcut. Their body's not used to what they're trying to make it used to, and their discipline or their habits have not changed. Therefore, they're going to go right back to what they had been doing that had them looking disfigured in the beginning. So by doing so, they end up plaguing themselves by taking shortcuts. They lead to lying, cheating, stealing, and impatient. This is the mark of someone who needs instant gratification in order to be happy. Not realizing the work that was put in by the other individual who was in the gym putting in work day in and day out, who said, I'm not going to eat the fried food no more. I'm going to eat salads and rice, baked chicken, grilled chicken. I'm no longer eating fried food. They don't realize that. So they want to take shortcuts. They want to pop pills. Instant gratification. That's how this world is built today. But I'm going to read on. It says, people who live like that remind me of Esau from the Old Testament. I'm going to read that again. This is Esau who wrote this article. And it says, people who live like that remind me of Esau from the Old Testament in the Bible. Esau wrote it, and it said, it reminds me of Esau, the mindset of people who have a covetous spirit. Check that out. It said Esau traded everything that came with ancient Israelite tradition of being a firstborn from Let me read that again. Esau traded everything that came with the ancient Israelites' tradition of being a firstborn son for a meal. For those who don't know, Esau came in the house faint, about to pass out, to the point he was about to die, and he came to his brother Jacob asking if he could, if he would feed him, give him the red meat that he was cooking. He traded his birthright. Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright, and I give you this meat." Esau said, "What the hell is a birthright? That don't mean nothing to me. I'm about to die here. Give me something to eat." So he sold his birthright for a meal. Instant gratification. Rather than just sit down and chill and get his breath or get his mind right, he sold his birthright without even thinking. And he knew what the benefit was, but he said, "The hell with it." Think about that. That instant gratification. That's the same thing that you see in this world today. Instant. That's why everything microwave. Pour water on it, you got a meal. Open the can, you got a meal. Everything is instant gratification. No hard work for nothing. No discipline for nothing. It said he was hungry, so he chose instant gratification. Your child wants to be loved, so he or she becomes willing to be sexual with someone at a party instead of putting in all the work it takes to have a meaningful, loving relationship. That's what's taught and promoted in this wicked kingdom. You watch it and you see it in the movies, you see it in the TV shows, hell, even in the cartoons. Everything is instant. Nobody thinks about anything, they just do because they see. And it says, "Yes, I know that this is an extreme example, but a covetous character really does lead to shortcuts, which can ultimately lead to a very hard road." It's a good article, and it's on point. Say, I'm not blaming social media for the poor character trait of covetousness. That is something that comes from instant gratification. I will tell you, though, that the teenage clients I see who don't really struggle with this also don't spend much time on social media. You see that? The ones who are not having problems or issues with this are not on social media. While there isn't causation, there does seem to be correlation. Just like drinking soda every day. What does that say? I9 is correlated to obesity. Using social media appears to be correlated to an envious character. Let me see. There's an old adage that if you want to be thin, hang out with thin people. And if you want to be wealthy, hang out with wealthy people. Well, if you want a strong character, do what people with strong characters do. They use social media a little bit, but they don't live on it. They don't allow themselves to become so wrapped up in it that they start comparing what they see with their own lives. People of strong character simply tend to be busy doing other things than wishing they had what someone else has. I want this for your teenager too. I want your teen to develop sound character so that he or she will be a positive contribution to this world instead of someone who whines because his life has been hard or unfair. You see that? That's an excellent breakdown as to how social media creates covetousness in teens and our children and adults, because you got 60, 70-year-old adults who are addicted and covetous on social media. So you know that it plays the teenagers because their whole lives is built around social media. They don't know what to do today without social media. They can't have a conversation 30 minutes without looking at their phone and sending a damn text message. So us as parents need to take that away from them, limit that, involve them in other things in life. Life is bigger than social media. Social media keep you in the palm of your hand with your head down, not looking at what's going on in the world. Keep that in mind. But let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 10. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 10. And it reads, he that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. You see that? When goods increase, they are increased that eat them. And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving and the beholding of them with their eyes? Saying, he that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver. It's plain as day. You can love money all day, but you'll never have enough of it. You'll see somebody else making bundles of money. Now I got to get better than them. I want the money they making. Or you see a happy family, a wife and a husband. I want that. You'll either strive to go get it, or you'll try your damnedest to destroy what they got. Being covetous. That's why the Lord say don't do that, because you'll do evil as a result of it. You know, there's so many things you could do in this world. Why be covetous? You know, perfect your craft. Do what's required of you. Do what's going to benefit your family rather than trying to live like somebody else. You know, because once you obtain what they got, you'll find out that it was shallow. It really didn't have any meaning. Just like a lot of us realize as adults, we want to get new cars, we want to get new this, new that. Once we get it, it's just that. It might have a new feeling or a new taste, smell to it for about a week. Then that newness wears off. But we wanted it because we seen it, or we seen somebody else with it, had that covetous spirit. Now we in debt. Now we worried, can't park it, can't drive it where we want to. You know, that's wickedness. But the Lord saying, he that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. Letting you know it's all in vain. It's all going to be burnt up anyway. You know, that's why we shouldn't be fixated on the things of this world, or these materialistic things in this life. They don't mean nothing. And it's shortcuts. If you think about it, that's all technology is, shortcuts. You know, it's all in vain. But from there, let's go to Luke chapter 12, verse 15. Luke chapter 12, verse 15. Let's see what the Lord said. Luke chapter 12, verse 15. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth. Now, a lot of people, especially here in America, think that a man's life was good by the amount of things that he accumulated throughout his life. He had a boat, he had a helicopter, he had 3 motorcycles, he had 4 trucks, he had a mansion that he lived in. He had a great life. No, that ain't what the Lord said. I'm going to read that again. Luke chapter 12, verse 15. And he said unto him, take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesses. Just because you got a damn motorcycle, a helicopter, or a boat don't mean you live in life abundantly. That's not what your life consists of. You know? Think about how much work you had to put into in order to achieve those things. It was work that you had to endure, that you had to discipline yourself, that you had to invest in your knowledge, your wealth, your health, in order to get those things. And a covetous man to look at that and say, I want that, not realizing what was put into consideration or put into play to make it happen. You know? So a man's possessions do not dictate what his life is. You know? That's what the world teaches us. If you had this, you had that, you had the most money in the world, you were very successful. That's bull. That's foolishness. That's madness. You can have all the money in the world and your people steady struggling. And you got your nose in there. You're not willing to help your people. How are you anybody that should be looked up to if you never did anything to help your people, the nation of Israel? You know? For example, you got Oprah, richest so-called black woman in the world. Got all this money. You should have neighborhoods built up everywhere, but you're not going to find it. You should have neighborhood schools built in every state, teaching your people the truth, raising them up. You're not going to do that. You should be that example to your people. You should have a family to pass that wealth on to. But no, you're not married. You have no kids. But what's the message being portrayed by watching her? She can do it. I can do it. I don't need no family. I don't need no man. I don't need no family. I'm going to just go get this money. That's the message. Whether we want to believe it or not. That's the message being portrayed. But a man's life is not consistent with the possessions that he has or the money that he has. Just because you got money don't mean that you righteous. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 21 right quick. 1 Kings chapter 21. 1 Kings chapter 21 verse 1. And it reads, And it came to pass after these things that Naboth, the Jezreelite, had a vineyard which was in Jezreel, hard by the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. And Ahab spake unto Naboth, saying, Give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house. And I will give thee for it a better vineyard than it. Or if it seem good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in money. So this is a king of Israel at the time, trying to persuade one of our brothers to give up his inheritance, give up his land. And Naboth said to Ahab, The Lord forbid me that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee. Now, what does he mean by that? The Lord forbid me. These is two men talking. What is he talking about? The Lord forbid me to give my inheritance of my fathers unto thee. Let's go to Numbers chapter 36 and verse 7 right quick. Numbers chapter 36 verse 7. Bear with me. Let me get there. Numbers chapter 36 verse 7. And it reads, So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe. For every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. You see that? And every daughter that possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be wife unto one of the family of the tribe of her father, that the children of Israel may enjoy every man the inheritance of his fathers. Neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance. You see that? That's why Naboth was not going to give nor sell his land to Ahab. It was his inheritance. The Lord commanded us not to give that away, nor sell it. But I'm going to keep reading. And verse 4, 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 4. And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him. For he said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would not eat bread. So this brother sitting there pouting on the bed like a little kid. Like he's 5 years old, pouting, turning his face toward the wall. He don't want to eat nothing. But Jezebel, his wife, came to him and said unto him, Why is thy spirit so sad, that thou eatest no bread. So his wife coming in, what's wrong with you? And he said unto her, because I spake unto Nabal the Jezreelite, and said unto him, give me thy vineyard for money, or else, if it please thee, I will give thee another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give thee my vineyard. And Jezebel his wife said unto him, doest thou not govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Nabal the Jezreelite. So she telling him, hey, ain't you king? Don't you run this? Sit up and eat something, man. Stop whining. But I'm going to go get this land for you anyway. Verse 8. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters unto the elders and to the nobles that were in the city dwelling with Nabal. And she wrote in the letter, saying, proclaim a fast and set Nabal on high among the people, and set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him to bear witness against him, saying, thou didst blaspheme God and the king, and then carry him out and stone him that he may die. You see that? Covetousness led to this man being lied on, plotted on, schemed on by somebody that didn't know anything about the situation, that wasn't even there, wasn't even present when it was going down. She came up with a plot and a scheme because her husband was whining rather than being a real man and just taking no for an answer. But she devised a plan to have this man killed. And we're going to keep reading on it. Verse 11, and the men of the city, even the elders and the nobles who were the inhabitants in his city, did as Jezebel had sent unto them. And as it was written in the letters which she had sent unto them, they proclaimed a fast and set Nabal on high among the people. So they basically doing like they did Mordecai in the book of Esther, sitting him on the king's horse, put the finest garments on him, riding through the city, having a parade for this brother. Verse 13, and there came in 2 men, children of Belial, and sat before him, and the men of Belial witnessed against him, even against Nabal, in the presence of the people, saying, Nabal did blaspheme God and the king. Then they carried him forth out of the city and stoned him with stones that he died. They didn't even ask no questions. That's how some of our people are today. They stand by and watch wickedness be committed right in front of them, knowing that it's wrong, knowing that they should speak up and say something. But they'll let it happen anyway, scared as hell, scared to be real women and real men. They'll let it happen, just like these fools did. They didn't ask no questions. Just because they came in there and said it, they didn't even prove it. That's the same thing that was getting ready to happen to the sister Susanna when you read that story. But one individual, one young child, Daniel, stood up and spoke, and that her life was spared, thus because of the Lord. But here you have men that came in there and lied on this man and said he blasphemed the Lord and the king, and they carried him out of the city and stoned him, that he died. Then they sent to Jezebel, saying, Naboth is stoned and is dead. And it came to pass when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth, the Jezreelite, which he refused to give thee for money, for Naboth is not alive, but dead. And it came to pass when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab rose up to go down to the vineyard of Naboth, the Jezreelite, to take possession of it. You see that? He didn't ask no questions either, man. He probably dried his face, wiped his tears away, probably gave her a hug and dried his face in her chest. And he got up thankful and ran out there to the vineyard. Let's keep reading though. And it came to pass when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead. Hold on, let me skip down to 17. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, arise, go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, which is in Samaria. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Naboth. whither he is gone down to possess it. And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Hast thou killed and also taken possession? And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, In the place where the dogs lick the blood of Nabal, shall dogs lick thy blood, even thine. You see that? So the Lord saying, you can ready to be put to death, bro. I seen that wickedness. I seen that foolishness. I sat back and watched you do it. But you're going to get your just due. So let that be a lesson to anybody paying attention on whoever reads that. The Lord is always watching. And as soon as he did what he did, he sent a messenger to give him that truth, to give him that message. It's coming to you, you know. Matter of fact, let's go to Matthew chapter 5, verse 28 right quick. We're going to get another account of covetousness. Matthew chapter 5, verse 28. Because that's a strong spirit that plays our people, whether you believe it or not. Think about it. Everybody knows somebody who has a covetous spirit. Hell, you even know when you done had it yourself throughout your lifetime. But if you in this truth, you've been waking up or awakened to this truth, you realize now that you can't have that spirit on you. And you need to check yourself on a daily basis to make sure that you don't have that spirit on you, because it'll cause you to go to hell off. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5, verse 28. And it reads, For I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her, remember, another word for covet that we pulled up in the beginning was to lust after. It said, But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her committeth adultery with her already in his heart. Why is that? Because your thoughts and your actions come from your thoughts, and your thoughts start in your mind, in your heart. So the Lord is letting you know, Christ is letting you know, when you're looking on a woman and you're thinking about laying down with her just from her appearance, you lusting after her, you have committed adultery. You know? And let's go back to 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 2. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 2. We're going to read about an account of covetousness and how King David went to hell off behind that spirit. This is the book of 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 2. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. So this is King David on his roof, walking around. He see a beautiful woman on somebody else's rooftop bathing herself. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her. And she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness. And she returned unto her house. So the king has sent men to go get her, brought her back to the house so he can lay down and have sex with her. Just like that. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. So he got her pregnant. Now she's somebody else's wife, but just because he seen her, he wanted to lay down with her. He already committed adultery in his mind. And he knew because the messengers told him, that's Uriah's wife. The Hittite, that's his wife. Let's keep reading though. Let's jump down to I'm gonna keep reading. And David sent to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, Go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house. And there followed him a mess of meat from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not from thy journey? Why then did thou not go into thine house. And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into mine house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife, as thou livest, and as thy soul liveth? I will do no thing, will not do this thing. And David said to Uriah, tarry here today, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and tomorrow and the morrow. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his lord, but went not down to his house. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it in the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, set Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. You see that? His brother had Uriah on slept with his wife, got her pregnant, realized what he did. He called a man to come eat with him, try to show him a good time, the same way that Jezebel did with Naboth. Brought him up there, told him a good story. Hey, you doing good? Hey, go to the house, eat good, relax, chill out. Sent some meat there, but the brother didn't go home. The brother did righteously like the rest of his brothers, stayed in the tent just like his other brothers rather than going to the house. So David said, you know what? I'm gonna get him drunk. I'm gonna get him feeling good about himself. I'm gonna write a letter to the damn captain to get this man killed, and I'm gonna send it in his hand to give to him. Told him put him on the front line so he'd be put to death. Why? Because he got his wife pregnant. And he knew it was against the law to do that. He knew that. But it was wicked as hell. Let's jump down to chapter 12, verse 9. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 9. Said, wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son. For thou didst secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also hath put away thy sin. Thou shalt not die. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. So the Lord didn't put King David to death because, when he lived a righteous life up until that point, seeking the Lord's face, constantly trusting in the Lord. He didn't turn his back on the Lord, but he broke his commandment. So the Lord said, rather than put you to death, I'm going to kill that child because that child was rooted in wickedness. You was covetous, slept with a woman you had no business being with because you lusted after her, you coveted after her, and then you knew that you got her pregnant, and then you had her husband killed. Therefore, I'm going to kill that child. Let that be a lesson to you and the rest of Israel. That displeased the Lord, so he had to be punished. Just like when we do any manner of sin, we displease the Lord and we're going to be punished. But let's go to Numbers 14 and 18. Numbers chapter 14, verse 18. And it reads, the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression. Because we all, if we in this truth or we're not in this truth, we should all have been put to death for all the wickedness that we have done throughout our lives. It said the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression. The only way he gonna forgive that iniquity and transgression is if you repent as an Israelite man, woman, and child. Repent, meaning turning away from your wickedness, turning away from your sin, and start keeping the laws. And by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. So, what does that let you know? The Lord is not going to acquit wickedness by any means. You know, you're going to get it. You're going to catch that judgment. You might not be put to death for it, but you're going to catch that judgment nonetheless. Let's go to Psalms 53 and 1 right quick. Because a lot of people say, no, ain't nothing happened. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm a good servant of the Lord. I'm going to keep eating this swine. I'm going to keep breaking the Sabbath. Ain't nothing happened to me this far. You know? Let's read it. Psalms chapter 53, verse 1. The fool have said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good. So there is none that have done good. That has been constantly repeated throughout the scriptures. Like I said before, we all should have been put to death right now for all the wickedness that we done in our lives. We have all broken God's commandment. Damn near every one that he got. If you think back on your life, throughout your life, you done broke damn near every commandment that the Most High done put before you. Broke every one of them, but he still had mercy on you. Take that into consideration. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 6 and 10. Because we're talking about a covetous spirit. You know, it's a lot of different stories throughout the scriptures talking about this. But we pulled out one or two of them. Talking about King David and his lusting. Talking about King Ahab and his his wickedness, crying and pouting like a little baby, like a little 5-year-old, you know, where his wife had set a man up to be killed. Covetous. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 10. And it reads, 6 and 9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God. So if you got a covetous spirit on you, guess what? You're not going to make it into the kingdom, brother. You're not going to make it into the kingdom, sister. So you got to check yourself on a constant basis, on a daily basis, making sure that you ain't got that type of spirit on you. Wanting something that don't belong to you. Those things end up getting people killed, locked up, destroyed. Having a covetous spirit on you, you know, you will not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Let's go to John 14 and 21. Got one more scripture. Well, this last one. And then, that'll be it. Book of John, chapter 14, verse 21. And it reads, He that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father. And I will love him and will manifest myself to him. So we got to be keeping these commandments in the last day. You got to keep the commandment and live. You got to keep these commandments in order to be hid in the day of the Lord's wrath, in the day of the Lord's sacrifice. You got to keep these commandments in order to be, beamed up in the chariots. You got to keep these commandments to have right to the tree of life, to enter into the gates. You can't pick and choose which commandments you want to abide by. It's not a Monday through Wednesday thing. This is a 24/7 keeping commandments every day of your life, teaching these commandments, demanding that your brothers and sisters keep these commandments on a 24-hour scale of life, day in and day out. You know, you cannot have that type of spirit on us. And once again, it's been another Savory Sunday. I hope and pray that you brothers and sisters who tuned in and who will watch it on down the road learn something. You know, that's the whole purpose of a Savory Sunday, is to teach our brothers and sisters about the commandments of the Most High God, giving in-depth breakdowns, giving stories throughout the testimonies, throughout the scriptures, applying it and showing you how to link it up with the things that go on in your life on a day-to-day basis so that you know how to react when these different situations arise, so that you may be able to teach your family, your children, about the commandments of the Most High, to change the future, to uplift and build your families in the future. Understand what's at stake, what's at hand, the kingdom, rulership. So if you want that, strive each and every day to seek out the law or the book. Teach your people, demand it, and keep these commandments and live, according to Proverbs 7:2. I'm your brother Ananias for A.O.I. And this has been another Savory Sunday. And we got to give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High through the strength and guidance of His Son for allowing me to be able to come to you, brothers and sisters, tonight. And as always, it's been an honor. And I say shalom to you. Much love.